Hey, Fanboy Nation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
We're watching Fanboy.
A fanboy, etc.
Fanboy Nation.
Dot, I assume Tom.
This animated feature is going to blow everybody away with its all-star cast, its soundtrack, and the music that's been composed for it. She might have her head down right now, but she'll pop it up when the camera is rolling. Isabella Summers, how are you today?
Hello, nice to see you.
Good to see you too. What, playing with the cat?
Yes.
See, I know the cat people. I know the cat people. I can tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially those of us that are allergic to cats, we can tell the cat people.
Oh, there's definitely two in this house.
Well, I'm not coming over for dinner anytime soon at that point. So, congratulations. Dinner's off. Hitpig is fantastic. When I was presented with this animated feature, I was like, okay, it's an indie animated feature. You know, it's going to be fun, but you know, we'll see the quality. And then I realized everybody that's behind it has worked for Sony and Disney and DreamWorks and Illumination and everybody that's the heavy hitters. I'm like, okay, if they weren't able to pull, like they couldn't have pulled this film off 10 years ago with the budget that you had, and what you've given us now on an independent budget is phenomenal. That's going to be competing.
Oh, stop it. You come over for dinner.
Maybe the restaurant down the street so I don't break out into hives. But other than that, you got it.
Yeah, it was, I feel like it turned out awesome. I'm so proud of my score.
Your score is fantastic as well. You know, the soundtrack's great. And then when you have the score and the soundtrack blend to enhance the animated story itself, it's incredible.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. When you compose for animation, is it similar to when you compose for live action?
I think that this one was like a lot heavier on music than and the time crunch was insane. So it was like pigs in space, go. and then for the next 6 months, it was like how to achieve John Williams status, having never really composed orchestral music on any big scale like that before. And boy, did I learn how to do it. I was like, I'm gonna ace it, but it was like full days every day, working through to midnight, like for a good 6 months.
Wow. Because, you know, you've mostly worked in pop music before and classic R&B and some major heavy hitters in the music genre or commercial music genre, to be more specific, in comparison to cinematic music, which is a whole different ballgame.
Right. Yeah, I think like, you know, I came in strong into being a composer with Little Fires Everywhere. And I had an incredible mentor, Mark Isham, who showed me the ropes. And but actually the music that I came with for that project, you know, was really simple. And, you know, and then we reiterated that simple music over and over again, made it a theme. So with this, it was like, you know, really learning the nuances of emotion and adventure and action and comedy. And I genuinely didn't think I was going to be any good at comedy, but watching it back, I was like, oh, this is really good. This is funny.
Right. When, you know, because the composition is the last part that gets added to this. We have to have all the animation and the voiceover and everything done ahead of time before we do the overlay of the music, correct?
Well, it's like, I think with this movie, you know, it came to me as a sketch that moved, squiggly lines that moved, and you couldn't really tell what was what on the screen. And then you can hear, you know, the script being read by, you know, demo people. So like you get a kind of like really rough sketch, like, you know, to kind of go on. And then my music was equally like, rough sketches and little ideas. And then as as we grew together, the picture becomes, suddenly you've got one character that's animated and still everything's a moving sketch. And then by the end of it, you're scoring to a really awesome, complete, like full picture. I have no idea how they do it. But then equally, like my music suddenly is written for a 65-piece orchestra, and then it gets recorded by a 65-piece orchestra. So like in actual fact, especially with this project Hitpig, like we sort of like we were like matching each other's energy, if you see what I'm saying. So it all kind of came to a head at the end together. It was awesome.
Right. And then when you first get presented with something like this, like you mentioned John Williams, and he's got a documentary coming out about his life and Star Wars and Indiana Jones. And, he wrote for a giant orchestra. And here you are, 65-piece orchestra about a pig hitman.
Yeah.
The first thing that goes to your mind is how, we'll use British term for this one. How cheeky do you go versus how sympathetic do you go versus, how
like,
humanistic is it going to be?
Often, so the difference between John Williams and I, if I may, not much, but
you have better hair.
He still writes his, thank you. He still writes his scores on paper. He doesn't use a computer. He hands in scores on paper. And then, when a director tries to give him notes, he says, no, I don't do notes. This is the score. This is the music. But when you watch like Jaws, it's like so silly if you think about it. The idea of kind of like this really heightened music happening over something that's intended to be a dangerous object, dangerous thing in the water. So like, and often when I'll score a project, directors want minimalism, they want simplicity, they want small things so that they don't tread over the footsteps that they've carefully curated, or like the dialogue or whatever it is. But with this film, it was like more, faster, more action, and like, actually being able to kind of like play around with sounds within the computer and just build and build and build, and then you don't think that you can possibly add more, and then you do. It's like, it's so cool. Magic.
And, when you see from the inception, you see these rough sketches, you hear the scratch tracks, you start composing to this, and then do you hear a tune in your head? Like some musicians will hear music wherever they go, the dripping faucet, the heel hits the sidewalk a certain way, and it's like, oh, that's a drum beat or whatever else that goes along with it.
Yeah.
And then you keep progressing with it, like from that initial note that you hear to the 65-piece orchestra that's been composed for the final project. Like, how does that feel for you? Is that almost like a graduation going from, elementary school all the way through university?
I think it's like, I don't know. I approach different things different ways, but like coming up with melodies, is really, really helpful starting point. And that's a lot of something that I've learned, being a composer. And then fleshing those melodies out. But I'm always making music. Like even when I'm not being asked to, I'm like, trying to riff on things that I find really exciting, or like, genres, or, old classical music, whatever it is. Like, I'm so inspired to kind of like find that dripping tap and then turn it into an opus, or, write a string melody and then turn that into a dripping tap, if that makes sense. So like, yeah, I think just keeping up, having always stuff, like I just feel like I'm always keeping up with myself, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like you just have to kind of like keep putting it in the bank, and then suddenly you'll be like, oh wait, I've got a piece of music that I wrote that's perfect for this moment.
And was that something that happened as well, something that you'd been sitting on that came to fruition?
Actually, not specifically with this. No, this was all from sketch.
I like that. Yeah, it's interesting where it goes from a tapping pencil on the desk to now this is going to be the French horn section.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
I think I learned a lot from like I scored a TV show called The Offer, and it was about the making of The Godfather. And you know, the first thing that I did was dissect Nino Rota, who scored The Godfather, and what he was so brilliant at doing was like getting the hook but with one instrument playing it, and it being so, you know, powerful that if you can get it in that, then you can like, you know, you can do anything with it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that was a fantastic show, and the score definitely added to it. I mean, you know, when you get to go back and revisit The Godfather, and then now the making of it, you know, Paramount knew what they were doing with this one.
Best job ever.
Yeah. Dealing with a show about making the movie about mafiosos. Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
It was.
Yeah. With animation like this, and you get to see the, you know, as you're composing it, as you see the evolution of that, and your music evolves along with it, when now you get to sit down and see the final product on the big screen, for general audiences on November 1st, or in the UK, 1st of November, you know, you know, we Americans, we knew what we were doing when we took the U out of everything and rearranged certain things. It was just to annoy you guys. We know what it's like. What's it like to actually see it on the big screen? You know, like
I haven't yet.
You haven't seen it yet.
Great shout. I have not. No, I've only seen it in my studio.
Now you get to go watch it on the big screen. It's completely different than watching it on a 17-inch monitor.
You know what's really funny? I wrote the score, you know, alongside the picture, and then we recorded it to the picture, you know, with a full orchestra, and then the other day I was sequencing the soundtrack, and like I basically like, you know, throw it all into something of a list, and then throw my favorites at the top, and then move things around, you know, to make the soundtrack, and then I got on a Lime bike in London. I was like cycling through rainy London listening to my soundtrack, and it was so exciting. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I made this.
I like that humbling aspect. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, very, very humble over here.
Yeah. Was there a favorite character to compose too? You know, if we watch the old cartoons, you know, there'd be the bass keys on the piano being punched for tiptoeing around. Or
yeah, I think like
a flute for a different character.
Making Pickles the elephant. Yeah, making Pickles the elephant, you know, sort of sweet and sad was really that. I think when I hit that piece of music, everyone was like, "Oh my God, it's the best music I've ever heard." So that was fun. The Leaping Lord, you know, giving him his kind of psychotic sugar plum fairy, and then Hitpig was like the shred. Hitpig was the 80s shred, like the bad boy, you know, rock and roll. So I know it's really fun doing all of it. And then trying to figure out how to put it all together while they're in space at the end. Sure. Well, and now they're on a rocket ship.
Right. And then you got Super Rooster to save the day. I mean,
yes.
Yeah. Because when you write for the Leaping Lord, who's Rainn Wilson, I mean that's just entertaining in and of itself.
So good, yeah. So good.
As everything's coming to a head, Halloween's coming up. The film comes out on All Saints Day. We're having a lot of fun with it already. It's hard for me because I got to see it a month and a half before everybody else. You know, to try not to give any spoilers. What's one spoiler that you can give us before I let you go, that we can entice people to come and see Hitpig on the 1st of November or November 1st?
It's so epic. You have to go see it. It's just like super fun adventure with an incredible score.
An incredible composer, Isabella Summers. Thank you so much for your time. Where can we find you on social media if we want to compliment you on your work?
Is a machine. Thank you.
Izzy Machine?
Is a machine.
ISA machine. Got it. Thank you so much, Hitpig, November 1st. Congratulations.
Thank you.